Hello, everybody. Welcome to GM Sports Report, your weekly podcast on all things sports, where every play counts. I'm Grant. I'm here with my co-host Mason as we get ready to cover the latest news, headlines, and upcoming events going on in the sports world. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to see all things GM Sports Report. Mason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Grant. How are you?
I'm doing good. We got a lot to talk about, so I'm looking forward to that. And we'll start out this episode like we start out every week, and that is with our hot take of the week. So, Mason, what is your hot take for this week?
So my hot take is something that kind of we've been touching up on all year in college football, and that is Diego Pavia. I think that it's deserving that he fell out of the draft and ended up being an undrafted free agent. Um, I think NIL will be doing that to a lot of athletes, let alone not only college football related, but I do think that it really hurts the athletes. And if you get guys like Diego Pavia, who even said to John Gruden that he doesn't have an agent, or NFL and pro sports in general, you need an agent to be able to succeed. That's just how it is. That's how it's been for a very long time. And for him to say, "I represent myself," sure, he was a Heisman candidate, but when you have the ego that he does, and he wasn't high on really anyone's radar for the draft, it's just expected. And I think we will be seeing a lot more athletes end up like Diego Pavia.
Yeah, I honestly completely forgot about him until after the draft, to be completely honest. But I'm also not really surprised they didn't get drafted. I mean, one, he has a terrible ego. Two, he's undersized, and three, now there's all these things about him, doing all his agent stuff for himself instead of having an actual agent. So it just seemed like it was never going to actually work out for him in the NFL. Obviously, he has signed now to the Ravens, but I don't think he'll ever get real playing time over there. Maybe I'll be corrected, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep.
For my hot take of the week, I think that firing Alex Cora and most of the coaching staff is not going to fix the Boston Red Sox. I think that they have way more problems than just the coaching staff. They're 12 and 17. They have one of the worst offenses in baseball. Their pitching staff has struggled. They just look like a very mid team. And I don't think that that was because of Alex Cora. I think it's because of the lack of making acquisitions this last offseason and, not losing out on Alex Bregman and trying to replace him with Caleb Durbin instead. I think that that's more your issue than Alex Cora. You look at some of these other teams that are struggling, it makes way more sense for them to fire their managers, like the Mets and obviously the Phillies, who fired their manager today. Those teams make sense, but I'm even seeing Red Sox fans kind of coming together saying that Alex Cora shouldn't have been fired. I know the players kind of seem disappointed in it. And I know it's kind of a messy situation right now because a lot of the players were caught by surprise, which is never a good thing. But yeah, I think that this is not just going to magically solve the Red Sox problems. I still think they're going to continue to be mediocre for the rest of the season unless they start making some changes as far as getting new players on the roster. But yeah, that's kind of where I stand with that situation.
Yeah, I don't think that firing a coach mid-season has really brought any success to really any teams in just professional sports history. So for that to happen with a big market team like the Red Sox, with the first minor inconvenience on the season, sure they've had some rough stretches with him, but like you mentioned, it's not going to be the fixing or the solving point, at least for this season, and letting him go.
Right. And it's like another thing. It's like he's not like he can only do what he's given. He's given
Mhm.
the players on the roster. It's his job to put out a lineup. And if they don't perform, it's not always on the manager. Now,
No.
if you look at the Mets situation, that's like the biggest case for firing a manager, even though he hasn't been fired yet. When you look at some of the decisions that are being made, bullpen decisions, lineup decisions, that's different. But when you look at the Red Sox, I really just think he was given a bad roster this year and they were expecting him to just magically make it work. But maybe I'll be wrong on that, but that's kind of where I stand with it.
Yeah.
All right, now we'll go ahead and slide over to our underdog of the week. So Mason, who is your underdog for this week?
All right. I haven't had a bias pick in a while, so I'm gonna go with Ben Rice. He's batting 322 on the season. He has 10 home runs and 23 RBIs. I think he's really lived up to the hype of this offseason. A lot of just MLB fans in general thought of him having a big season coming up. So he's really been living up to the hype, and it's been great to see.
That's good. because I also went biased for my underdog of the week. I went with the Chicago Cubs DH and catcher Moises Ballesteros, who is having a fantastic start to his rookie campaign. This guy is just a straight baller when it comes to hitting. And honestly, I'm not trying to curse anything, but it kind of reminds me of a young David Ortiz or a young Juan Soto, kind of his bat the ball skills. It's been absolutely incredible. In 60 at bats this season, he's batting 400 with a 1.181 OPS, 5 home runs, 16 RBIs. And in the month of April, he has hit 21 for 43. So he has just been off to an incredible start, and only has like I think a 7% K rate. So he's barely striking out either. Just been such a huge uplift to this Cubs roster, has really helped them start to heat up on the offensive end. I kind of wish he wasn't getting the platoon treatment right now. He's not facing left-handed pitching. I think he should have the right to hit every day in the lineup, but we see this time and time again. We saw with Michael Busch last season, and I believe Ben Rice has seen it to start this season as
Yeah.
well. It's just kind of a thing
Yep.
that happens to young left-handed hitters. It sucks, but
It's always
I'm
the
sure he'll get.
lefties.
Yeah, it's always lefties, but I'm sure it'll. I'm sure he'll get his chance soon against left-handed pitching because he's off to an incredible start.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna go ahead now and slide over to the NBA and go through some of the playoff series. Right now, we'll start with the 76ers versus Boston. It is a 3-1 series lead for Boston. The game is going on right now. It is 57-50 at halftime. Boston is up. Mason, do you think the Celtics end the series tonight?
I think so. But that's not really my biggest takeaway for this series. I think that the Philadelphia 76ers are in good hands with VJ Edgecombe. He's just really been showing why he was picked as high as he was, and it's uh it's exciting to see, to have a young exciting guy like that be, I don't want to say in good hands, but like be in a good position for him to succeed. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like time and time again with the Sixers, we go after every season ends for them. We always say, man, they have such good young talent. Like they
Hmm.
have a couple young pieces they can really build around. Last year it was Maxey and McCain. Obviously, McCain's not there anymore,
Hmm.
but this season it's McCain, or I'm sorry, it's Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, and it's really like if I'm the Sixers, I need to start asking myself, should I trade Paul George? Should I trade Joel Embiid? Get these draft picks, get these young players, and start
Yep.
building something special here? Because I really feel like they can. You can't do the balancing act of having old veteran talent and young rookie talent. Like those things don't go hand in hand if you're trying to win a championship. You got to pick one side or the other. And if I was the 76ers, I would lean to going young. I think that Paul George is in the last stage of his career. I think Embiid will never put together a fully healthy season again. So I'd try to get every draft pick, every young player that I can, and really try to start building something like we've seen the OKC Thunder do, like we've seen the San Antonio Spurs do. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I also think that the Celtics are going to finish the series tonight. I think that the Celtics just look significantly better than the Sixers, and yeah, that's kind of my prediction there. All right, next series we got is the Atlanta Hawks versus the New York Knicks, which the series is at 2-2. That game is going on right now, and it is 17-14. The Knicks are up right now with 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Mason, how do you see the rest of this series panning out?
I think at the way this has been going, it's probably going to go full seven. Um, Not how I want it to go. Obviously, as a Knicks fan, I think that we should have gotten done in six, but who knows? We might be able to really put it together and figure it out. But the Hawks have really been our kryptonite, it seems like, so far. And not only that, it feels like we may be playing down to our opponents, but the opponents just might be that good to where they're unexpected. So it's been an interesting series. I don't want to see much more of it, but it's probably not how it's going to go.
I'm gonna stick to my prediction I made last week, where I said that I think the Hawks would win one more because at the time it was 1-1 when we were recording.
Hmm.
I said they'd win one more and then they would just lose the rest of the games, and I'm gonna stick with that for right now. I'd be kind of shocked if this goes 7 games. I think the Hawks kind of gave it all they got. I don't think they have enough in the tank to be
We'll
able to
see.
pull out any more wins, but we'll see what happens.
Yep.
All right, next series we got is the Cavs versus Raptors, which is now tied at 2-2. It was 2-0 last week when we were recording. Mason, do you think the Raptors can finish off this series after winning two straight, or do you think that the Cavs will ultimately win?
I think the Cavs will ultimately win just with if you put rosters together and just experience in total. I think the Cavs should be able to get it done. Um, but you never know. The Raptors might be on a little streak and kind of finish it out. Maybe not finish it out, but like make a run to where it could go 7 games. But I think the Cavs will be able to put it to sleep.
Yeah, this series has kind of given me the vibes of that Cavs and Magic series from a
Magic
year or
2
two
years
ago,
ago, yeah,
where whoever was
home
at
games.
home ended up winning the game. I feel like that's kind of the case here. I think that the Cavs will
Hmm.
ultimately win this series, and it'll be at home when they win the series. So that's kind of my prediction there. Next series we have is kind of the one to talk about in the Eastern side. The Orlando Magic are up 3 games to 1 against the number 1 seed Pistons. Mason, what are your thoughts on this series so far? And do you think the Pistons can come back from a 3-1 deficit, or is this over?
I think the Pistons, if they really want to be able to come away with it and make it competitive again, they got to go on a streak. They got to go on a run. They really got to, look at each other and be like, "Hey, like we're the 1 seed. We got to play like it." Um, sure, Cade's been out, and they kind of got to go back to how things were before he got injured. But right now, it looks like that the Magic just have the hot hand, and they're really riding it. So Magic may be able to get it done in 5, but I don't know. I think the Pistons get one more, and then Magic finish it off. But it's there. It's gonna have to be a crazy run for the Pistons to kind of come back and potentially win it. But yeah,
Yeah, I think Pistons get one more and then it's over.
right.
What the Magic have done has honestly been very impressive. I don't think any of us really saw it coming, but when they're the kind of team when they get going, like they have star power on their team. They got Franz, they got I know Franz is dealing with an injury right now, but they got Paolo, they got Suggs, they got Desmond Bain, who's looked fantastic in this first round. Wendell Carter has looked really good, who is a player that people forget about a lot. They like when they're going when things are going right, they're a solid, very talented team, but when things are going bad, they're very bad at the same time.
Hmm.
Um, I'm very shocked at what the Pistons' performance has been in this series. I'm not trying to make excuses for them, but I do think there's an issue there when you're playing a whole different style of basketball for the last month of the season without Cade Cunningham being in the lineup. And then he's kind of just gets back with like a game left in the season. I do think it is hard to get back into a rhythm there. So I think that this is just a case of Magic having the momentum and Pistons just not being able to find a rhythm at all. Um, and then one more bias thing I got to get off my chest. I've seen some Magic fans on Twitter saying that they're doing what the Heat did in 2023. Let's not compare this until y'all get to at least the Eastern Conference Finals, because obviously the 2023 Heat team went to the finals and they faced the juggernaut schedule of the Milwaukee Bucks, the New York Knicks, and the Boston Celtics. So we'll talk later in the playoffs if that happens, but let's just pump the brakes on that a little bit right now because I don't see anyone dropping 56-point games against Giannis and the number 1
Okay.
seed Bucks.
Bro is on the biggest hate watch of all time for Orlando right now.
I'm not on a hate watch. I just don't like when we're comparing things that have levels to it. Okay.
Sure. Sure, man.
And they're also I can't like they're always little brothers to us. So like I can't give them that satisfaction. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and slide over to the West. We got the Trailblazers versus Spurs, 3-1 series lead to the Spurs. Mason, what do you think's going down this series?
I mean, with Wemby coming back and really kind of picking up right where he left off, I don't think that there's too much to it. I think the Trailblazers were like, "Oh man, Wemby's out. We can really kind of take advantage of it." But then, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, and all the other guys really just have been doing what they've been doing all year and picking up right where it was. So, yeah, I think Spurs will be able to finish it off.
Yeah, I agree. Spurs are going to finish it off. The only hope they had was when Wemby was out for those couple
Exactly.
of games. He's back now, so it's over for them. Next series we got is the Lakers versus Rockets. Lakers are up 3-1 on the Rockets. This has kind of been a shocking storyline. Mason, do you think the Lakers will finish this out in 5, or do you think it'll go 6 or 7?
I think it'll probably go 6. Finish finish it off in 6. But yeah, I've been shocked with the Lakers, man. I didn't think that, they'd come out this hot and um just shout out to LeBron. Longevity wins and this has shown why he's the greatest of all time. So, yeah, shout out Lakers and LeBron.
Yeah, I'm shocked that they've come out and not only got up in this series, but have dominated this series for the most part. Austin Reeves is now like might be back as soon as their next game,
Yeah.
and Luka Doncic obviously who didn't play in this first round. The Lakers have something special they can do here if they get their team fully healthy again. This is a huge momentum boost for them, making a statement in this series. So I also have the Lakers winning this. Next series we got is the Nuggets versus the Wolves. It is a 3-2 series lead with the Wolves, but the Wolves have faced some terrible injuries, losing Dante DiVincenzo and Anthony Edwards. So,
Oh
Mason,
my
what are your
boy.
thoughts on this series?
I cannot believe that they got the win with losing and Devo in the same game. Um, it's gonna be Nuggets are up or Wolves are up.
Wolves are
Oh,
up three
Wolves
to
are up.
two.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, if they're able to beat the Nuggets, I can't see them going much farther. Um, it's so unfortunate, but maybe Randall will be able to hold it down. But those are two very serious injuries, and you just hate to see that for anybody in any kind of sport. So I think Wolves will win, maybe in 7, but yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe the Wolves can squeak out one more win
Mhm.
to end this series, but they're not going to be able to do anything without
No.
Anthony Edwards in the next series. He's just the player you need. You can't win without him. He's the face of the franchise. He's the best player on the team. I do want to shout out Ayo DeSumo real quick because in that game 4, he had that 40-point game when Anthony Edwards did go down to help them win. That was a very great performance and something to talk about for sure. But I think they'll squeak out this series because the Nuggets are kind of just not looking like the normal Nuggets right now.
Mhm.
Maybe with these injuries, they'll be able to bounce back and look like their old selves again. But I'm going to give this one to the Timberwolves. But after that, I don't see any success coming the Timberwolves' way.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and then finally, the last series to talk about: the Thunder have swept the Suns 4-0. Mason, what are your thoughts on this series?
I don't have too many thoughts. I think the record were really the thoughts.
Yeah, I don't really have thoughts either. I think this Suns team was lucky to get into the playoffs. I don't think they're really that good of a team. So I'm not really shocked. When your number 2 guy is either Jalen Green or Dylan Brooks, I don't think you're set up for much success.
Yeah, that's very true.
All right. We'll keep talking about the NBA playoffs as the playoffs go over the next couple of weeks. It's been pretty entertaining so far. We'll go ahead now and slide over to the MLB, and we will do our player of the week and team of the week. Mason, who is your MLB player of the week?
My MLB player of the week is Munetaka Murakami. He's been absolutely balling. He's got 12 home runs and 23 RBIs, 965 OPS. Um, I think people kind of really underestimated what he was going to be able to do when signing with the White Sox. It's kind of like, oh man, that just devalues him. I think kind of what they were thinking, but he's really come to show why he um, was really sought highly coming into this season. So, yeah, huge shout out to him.
Yeah, I love that pick. 5 straight games with the home run, which is just
Hmm.
crazy. I think it's safe to say that the whole MLB was wrong about
Right.
Murakami because at first, when coming into free agency, he was expected to be one of the most sought after free agents. And then there was, the stat being thrown around about, oh, he can't hit the fastball, he can't hit high
Right.
velocity. Yeah, you could take those analytics and throw them out the window because this guy has been off to a fantastic start. And it's safe to say that most of the MLB completely whiffed on this guy, and the White Sox found themselves a gem, which, the White Sox need. They need a guy for fans to come watch. So this is
Oh
good for
yeah.
them. I like that pick. For my pick, I'm going with Carlos Cortez from the Oakland, or sorry, not Oakland, the Athletics.
Dang.
who has batted 543 with 13 hits, 3 home runs, and 7 RBIs this past week. He's looked absolutely fantastic. This A's team is just kind of a fun team to watch. They got a lot of young guys that have a lot of potential. So yeah, shout out to Carlos Cortez.
Nice.
All right. Now we'll go ahead and slide over to our team of the week. So Mason, who's your team of the week?
My team of the week's really more of a team of the season, and that's the Atlanta Braves. Not only have they really just been killing it so far in the season, but they've been taking advantage of a weak NL East. They're 20-9, and they have 166 runs scored, 65 differential. So it's just unreal. I think a lot of people expected them to be good, but not this good, I think. And they are 8-2 in their last 10. So I'm excited to see what they can do if they can keep the hot hand going. But yeah, huge shout out to Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, you read my mind because I also picked the Atlanta Braves, best
I
overall
was
record
wondering
in
why you're looking
baseball.
at me.
Yeah, best overall record in baseball right now, 20-9, 7-3 in the last 10. When we did our MLB season preview, I did pick them as my sleeper team, but they have exceeded my expectations. Like you said, we came into this season thinking the NL East would be the toughest division, and a lot of those teams are off to a slow start with the Phillies and the Mets, especially. But the Braves have been on top of that division. And honestly, I could see them winning this division if they keep it at this pace because they have looked very good. They've looked like the Braves of the old from a couple of seasons ago. Like I said this so many times on this podcast, last season, it was mainly injuries was the reason they could not perform the way they usually perform. The Braves are usually always a very solid team. And I'm honestly happy to see them back in the mix.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to finally head to the NFL because the draft has happened. And, we got to talk about it a little bit. So, Mason, what team do you think had the best draft?
Oh, there's a lot of good ones, I think. And I've really been looking at the grades, and everyone's been super high on the Browns. Browns this, Browns that. They always talk about the Browns every single year. But I think I'm gonna go. Don't hype yourself too much, but I think I'm gonna go with the Miami Dolphins. A lot of people were kind of upset about Caden Proctor, which sure maybe he's not the best O lineman, but I think he has serious potential with that build. Um, and I think if you get a guy to really kind of come into his size like that, I think it's going to be great. I love the Michael Taft pick. Huge on him. Watching him at Texas the past few years have been he's been all over the field. He's just a certified ball hawk, whether that's defending, tackling, intercepting, whatever. And then I really like Jacob Rodriguez. I think that he was severely underlooked just throughout the whole season. I think people kind of just didn't look at him enough just because he was what he was. He went to Texas Tech. He was a great linebacker, but I really liked what the Miami Dolphins did. I think they addressed every key need. I know you guys got a couple, I think 2 tight ends, 2 or 3 wide receivers. I think got a couple DBs. So, I mean, it really helps out with those positional needs. Sure, they're not the best players in those positions, but it sets you up great for depth and to see what happens for the next draft. You may have another high pick, but get those guys who are going to be the franchise guys from that on because, it is really hard to find the franchise guys in the picks that you had.
Yeah. I will touch on that real quick. I will say I think the Dolphins definitely took a step in the right direction after this draft. They have an identity now. In
Mhm.
previous years, Chris Greer never really gave the Dolphins an identity. He would kind of just draft players here and there, and they wouldn't complement each other. I think what the main focus of this draft was to get guys that complement each other. We got
Mhm.
guys with freakish size at their positions, strength. These are things that the Dolphins haven't had in years. So I'm very excited to see how some of these players play in the draft. I know we're going to talk about this in a little bit because we're going to talk about our team's favorite
Mhm.
picks. So I'll keep it short and sweet there, but I like that pick. For my best draft, I picked the Cleveland Browns. But I will say this draft only goes as far as Shador Sanders can take them. If Shador Sanders has a terrible season, this draft means nothing because the main focus of this draft for the Browns was obviously fixing the offense. I mean, they added some real weapons in KC Concepcion and
Hmm.
Denzel Boston, who was a receiver I was very high on.
Yeah.
I wanted him in a Dolphins uniform. So those are two real weapons for Shador Sanders now. They added good O-line and Spencer Fano and Austin Barber from Florida. And they even added a good linebacker in Justin Jefferson. So I really did like their draft. But like I said, if Shador Sanders is bad, it doesn't mean anything.
Hmm.
You got nothing to add on there? I know you're
I
not the biggest
mean,
Browns guy.
no, like the Browns. It's weird because sure they need offensive guys, but I don't know. Their secondary. I don't know. I feel like they just need a lot more than just players. It's weird because
I
their
get it.
their coaching is horrible.
I get it. All right. And now, who had the worst draft in the NFL?
I think I'm gonna go with the San Francisco 49ers.
Hmm.
They really didn't address much of anything that they needed. Um, they picked up Dejon Stribling, which I think is a great receiver, but other than that, nothing much. Like they picked up an edge from Texas Tech, which sure, but yeah, they severely reached on Kalen Black, who is a running back at Indiana. A lot of people are seeing him go undrafted. Um, yeah, just reaching on guys. I saw a reporter even say to John Lynch, "Why do you guys keep reaching and drafting busts?" And he's like, "I appreciate your feedback, but thank you," and something like that. So, yeah, I'm not huge on the 49ers draft. I don't think that they've been drafting very well recently, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. When I've looked at some of the grades, I've seen them towards the lower end of the scale. So I think you're right there. For my worst draft, I kind of just put this down because of one pick that really just rubbed me the wrong way, and that was the Rams taking Ty Simpson
Oh
at 13.
yeah,
I don't
forgot about
understand that pick at all. I mean, you got Stafford for at least another season. There's going to be better quarterbacks in the next draft if you're worried about Stafford retiring or something like that. I really don't think you need the reach for Ty Simpson at 13. There's so many good players still available at that point in the draft. Um, I was just very shocked by that pick, and I
that.
think that for that reason, I'm just putting them as my worst team.
I mean, like I understand drafting for the future, but he's gonna be there in round two, and you have a team who could have made the Super Bowl last year, and you did absolutely nothing to help them win now. So
Mhm.
that's rough, man. And even McVay looking at that draft pick,
Yeah.
like I saw that he was close with somebody in the drafting procedure, like family oriented, and that's why he kind of went as high as he
Mm.
did. So there might be some interior favoritism going on.
Yeah, I don't get taking him at 13. Like you could have waited, you
Nah,
could have waited a little bit. There is
it's
no
unreal.
way he was going to be taken in the first round. At least that's what I think.
Mm.
All right, and finally, who was your favorite pick from your team?
I have two, I think, and neither are in the first round. Sure, I love Arvell Reese. Him falling to five, absolutely surprised me. It's great to have him again. The whole edge rusher, dropping middle linebacker thing. Francis Maui Noah, great pickup. I'm gonna go with Colton Hood and Malachi Fields. I'm gonna go Malachi Fields for my favorite. We finally got a big receiver. We have not had a big receiver workout, I don't think, in a very long time since like the Plaxico Burress Super Bowl days. So for us to get him 6'5" receiver out of Notre Dame with the fourth round pick or something like that, it was absolutely amazing. And then Colton Hood getting a great DB in the second round. I was very excited to see him. And yeah, I just hope they work out and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I think the Giants actually had a very solid draft. I think that they filled a lot of needs, kind of like the Dolphins did. I feel like we
Hmm.
had two very similar drafts as far as what we were trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So, um, I'm going to agree with you there. For the Dolphins, I'm kind of torn between three players. My three favorite picks were Jacob Rodriguez, Chris Johnson, and Chris Bell. Those were my three favorites. I think that those all were, huge picks for us that really, helped us have a great draft. But if I had to pick one out of those three, I absolutely love the film I've seen from Chris Johnson. He has looked really solid. He looks like a corner that can really just do everything right. He doesn't really specialize in one particular thing, but he is just a solid all around DB. He's 6 foot tall, so he's a bigger body for us. And I've just watched the film, and I've been really pleased. I think that he instantly slots in at our cornerback one position. And I know a lot of Dolphins fans are saying that they could see him even being a top 10 corner in the next couple of years. So that's going to be my favorite pick from the Dolphins. But I do love the Jacob Rodriguez pick, and I love the Chris Bell pick as well.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I just hope guys can deliver on every side for both of our sakes.
Yeah, for sure. All right. That's pretty much going to wrap up this episode. So thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of GM Sports Report, where every play counts. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to be able to see our weekly episodes on all things sports. For additional content, check the description to see links to our Instagram and TikTok account. This is Grant and Mason signing off for now. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you, guys.